I spent 12 years building someone else's dream, 12 years of 60-hour weeks, of missed birthdays and canceled vacations, of telling myself that loyalty meant something, that hard work would be recognized, that when you pour everything you have into something, it becomes yours too. I was wrong. It took Donovan Pierce exactly 60 seconds to prove just how wrong I was. My name is Adrian Foster, and this is the story of how I lost everything and gained something far more valuable in the process. I started at Pierce Analytics when I was 26 years old, fresh out of business school, hungry to prove myself, naive enough to believe that merit actually mattered. The company was small back then, maybe 15 employees, operating out of a converted warehouse in the industrial district. Donovan had vision. I'll give him that. He could see where the market was heading before anyone else. But vision without execution is just daydreaming. And execution was where I came in. I was employee number 12, junior analyst, bottom of the food chain, but I didn't care about titles. I cared about the work. I stayed late, came in early, learned every system, every client, every process. When other analysts went home at 6, I was still there at midnight, building models, refining strategies, finding inefficiencies. Donovan noticed within 2 years. I was senior analyst. Within 4, I was director of client relations. By year 7, I was effectively running the entire operation while Donovan played golf and gave TED Talks about entrepreneurship. I didn't mind. I thought we were partners in everything but paperwork. He said it himself multiple times. Adrian, you're the engine that runs this machine. I'm just the hood ornament. I believed him. The company grew. 15 employees became 50, then 100. Then 200. We moved into a gleaming high-rise downtown. We landed Fortune 500. Clients, we won industry awards, and behind every single success, every major contract, every expansion, was me. I built the client relationships. I designed the systems. I hired the talent. I created the processes that took us from a scrappy startup to a $100 million operation. And Donovan collected the credit. He was the face, the name on the door, the guy who got profiled in business magazines, and I was fine with that. Or at least I told myself I was, because I knew the truth. Everyone inside the company knew the truth. I was the one who made Pierce Analytics actually work, but knowing the truth inside the building, and having it acknowledged where it mattered, turned out to be two very different things. The first crack appeared on a Tuesday morning in March. I was in my office, preparing for a presentation to our biggest potential client, Meridian Technologies. It was a $40 million contract, the largest in our company's history. I'd spent 4 months cultivating the relationship with their CEO, a sharp woman named Patricia Gonzalez who didn't suffer fools. She liked me, trusted me. We'd built genuine rapport. She'd told me explicitly, if we won the contract, it was because of me. My assistant knocked on my door. Donovan wants to see you. I grabbed my presentation materials and headed to his corner office. The door was open, but his expression made me pause. He wasn't alone. There was a man I didn't recognize, mid-40s, expensive suit, standing by the window with the confidence of someone who owned the room. Adrian, come in. Donovan's smile didn't reach his eyes. I want you to meet Trevor Haynes. Trevor, this is Adrian Foster, our director of client relations. Trevor shook my hand. His grip was firm, practiced. I've heard great things. Trevor is joining us as our new vice president of strategic partnerships. Donovan said it casually, like he was announcing a order. He'll be overseeing all major client relationships going forward. The words took a moment to register. All major client relationships. That's right. Donovan leaned back in his chair. Trevor comes from Caldwell and Associates, 15 years of experience at the executive level. He's going to help us scale to the next tier. I looked at Trevor, then back at Donovan. And what does that mean for my role? Your role stays the same. You'll just be reporting to Trevor now. He'll be taking point on the Meridian presentation this afternoon. Something cold settled in my chest. The presentation I've been preparing for 4 months. You've done excellent groundwork. Adrian? Trevor's voice was smooth, patronizing. I'll take it from here. Donovan's filled me in on all the details. No, he hadn't, because Donovan didn't know all the details. He knew the broad strokes, the pitch deck, the numbers. He didn't know Patricia's concerns about data security, questions about implementation timelines, the personal rapport we'd built over dozens of calls and meetings. But I didn't say any of that. Not yet. I see. I kept my voice neutral. When did you decide this? Donovan shifted uncomfortably. Trevor came to us with an incredible offer 2 weeks ago. Sometimes you have to move fast when opportunity knocks. 2 weeks. He'd been planning this for 2 weeks and hadn't said a word to me. I'd like to at least sit in on the presentation, I said carefully. Since I've been the primary contact. Trevor smiled, but it wasn't friendly. I think it's better if I establish the relationship from the start, fresh perspective, but I appreciate the offer. Donovan nodded. Adrian, Trevor's the expert here. Let him do what we brought him in to do. I stood there, 12 years of loyalty crystallizing into a single moment of clarity. I wasn't a partner, I was an employee, and employees, no matter how much they build, no matter how much they sacrifice, are replaceable. I walked out without another word. The Meridian presentation was a disaster. Trevor went in with confidence and came out with a polite rejection. Patricia called me directly afterwards. What happened? Adrian, that wasn't the pitch we discussed. There's been a change in leadership. My voice was tight. I noticed, look, I like you, I trust your work, but I don't know this Trevor person, and frankly, his approach doesn't inspire confidence. If you're not the one running point on this, I'm not sure Meridian is the right fit. She was giving me an opening, I could feel it. I understand completely. I said, I'll be in touch. When I hung up, I sat in my office for a long time, staring at the city through my window. 12 years, $100 million company, and I just watched someone else fumble the biggest opportunity we'd ever had, using my work, my relationships, my credibility. That's when my phone buzzed. A text from Donovan. Need to see you. Now, his office felt different this time, colder. He was standing, not sitting, arms crossed. Patricia Gonzalez declined the contract. I know, I said. Do you know why? Because Trevor didn't know what he was doing. Donovan's face hardened. That's not helpful, Adrian. It's accurate. You know what I think? He stepped closer. I think you undermined him. I think you've been running this place like your personal kingdom for so long that you can't handle someone else being in charge. The accusation was so absurd I almost laughed. I spent 4 months building that relationship, and you failed to close it. I wasn't given the chance to close it, because Trevor is better qualified. Donovan's voice rose. He's an executive, he has a proven track record, and unlike you, he doesn't have an ego problem. Something snapped. Ego problem. I repeated slowly. I've worked 70-hour weeks. For 12 years, I've built every major system in this company. I've landed 90% of our current clients. I've made you wealthy beyond anything you could have done alone, and I have an ego problem. You're a good employee, Adrian, but you're not irreplaceable. Nobody is. The words hung in the air. Good employee, not irreplaceable. You're right, I said quietly. Nobody is. I walked to my office, packed my personal items into a box, and walked out of Pierce Analytics for the last time. The first week was strange. I defined myself by that job for so long that without it, I felt unmoored. I'd wake up at 6 out of habit. Then remember I had nowhere to be, no fires to put out, no clients to call, no problems to solve. But the strangest part was the calls. They started on day 3. Clients I'd worked with for years, reaching out directly. Adrian, what's going on? Your email bounced. I've left Pierce Analytics. Oh, pause. Are you starting something new? I wasn't, not yet, but the question planted a seed. By day 5, I'd received a dozen similar calls. By day 7, I had 3 clients explicitly asking if they could work with me directly, including Patricia Gonzalez. I'm pulling our RFP from Pierce, she said bluntly. That Trevor character called me twice trying to salvage things and just made it worse, but I still need what you were offering, so. Are you interested? I thought about Donovan's face, his words not irreplaceable. Let me make some calls. I said, I spent the next 2 weeks building something new. I didn't have an office or staff or infrastructure. What I had was relationships, a decade of goodwill. Clients who trusted me more than they trusted the company name on my old business card. I called it Foster Strategic Solutions. Simple, clean, me. I brought in a lawyer to handle contracts, an accountant to manage finances. I rented a small office space, nothing fancy, just enough to look legitimate, and then I made my pitch to Patricia. Here's what I'm offering, the same strategic analysis you wanted from Pierce, but faster, more personalized, and 20% cheaper because I don't have their overhead. I'm listening. You wanted customized data integration, real-time analytics, and a dedicated team that actually understands your business. I can deliver all of that, and because I'm smaller, I can pivot faster when your needs change. She was quiet for a moment. You built all of this in 2 weeks. I built the foundation over 12 years. I just changed the name on the door. Another pause, then. Send me a proposal. I did. She signed it the next day. $40 million. My first client. My old boss's biggest loss. The call came from Donovan 3 days later. We need to talk. About what? You stole my client. Patricia was never your client. Donovan, she was mine. You just collected the checks. You signed a non-compete? Actually, I didn't. You never sent me one to sign. You talked about it for years, but never followed through. I checked with my lawyer. I'm completely clear. Silence. You realize what you're doing. His voice was tight. You're destroying everything we built. Everything I built, I corrected. And I'm not destroying it. I'm continuing it under my own name. I'll fight you on this. With what leverage? You brought in Trevor to replace me. Remember, let him do his job. I hung up. Over the next 3 months, 5 more of Pierce Analytics' major clients switched to my company not because I poached them. I didn't have to. They came to me because they'd always been working with me. Not with Pierce Analytics. The company name was just the letterhead on the invoices. Donovan tried everything. He called clients directly, offered discounts, threatened legal action, but you can't force loyalty, and you can't. Manufacture trust. Trevor lasted 6 weeks before Donovan fired him. I heard through the industry grapevine that Pierce Analytics was hemorrhaging clients. Missing payroll. Downsizing rapidly, I felt. Nothing, no satisfaction, no revenge, just the quiet realization that I'd been holding up the entire structure. And when I left, it collapsed. The final chapter came on a Thursday in August. My assistant told me someone was here to see me. No appointment, no name, it was Donovan. Looked smaller, tired. The confidence that used to fill every room he entered was gone. Can I come in? I gestured to the chair across from my desk. He sat slowly, like it hurt. I'm here to offer you a deal. I'm listening. Merge your company back into Pierce Analytics. I'll give you 40% ownership, equal partnership. Your name on the door, we can rebuild this together. I studied his face. Why would I do that? Because you still care, I know you do. This was your life's work. It was, I agreed. Past tense. Adrian, his voice cracked slightly. I made a mistake. I thought I could replace you. I was wrong. You were right about everything. The company, the clients, all of it. It was you. It was always you for 12 years. I'd wanted to hear those words now. They meant nothing. I appreciate you coming here, I said quietly, but I'm not interested. I'm losing everything. Yes, you could save it. I could. I leaned forward. But why would I save something that threw me away? You told me I was replaceable. Donovan, you were right. You did replace me. It just turned out that what you replaced me with wasn't good enough. He stared at me. So that's it. You're just going to watch me fail. I'm not watching anything. I'm building my own company. What happens to yours isn't my concern anymore. He stood. Slowly at the door, he turned back. I underestimated you. No, I said. You never estimated me at all. That was the problem. Pierce Analytics filed for bankruptcy 4 months later. The business assets were liquidated. The office space was sold. 200 employees lost their jobs. And Donovan lost everything he'd spent 15 years building. I absorbed some of his former staff. Good people who'd been caught in the collapse. I paid them fairly, gave them ownership stakes, treated them like partners instead of assets. Foster Strategic Solutions grew. We landed bigger clients, expanded into new markets, built a reputation for being reliable, innovative, and genuinely invested in our clients' success, everything Donovan's company pretended to be. We actually were. I saw him one more time. About a year later, I was at a coffee shop near my office. Early morning before a big presentation, he was at a table in the corner. Alone, staring at a laptop. He looked up, saw me, and for a moment neither of us moved. Then he nodded, just a small acknowledgement. I nodded back. He looked away first. I got my coffee and left. I didn't feel vindicated or victorious. I didn't feel anything except free from loyalty that was never reciprocated. Free from building someone else's dream at the expense of my own. Free from believing that hard work alone would earn respect. I learned something through all of this. You're never truly irreplaceable in someone else's story. You can be essential, invaluable. The person who makes everything work. But if you're not the one writing the narrative, you're just a character, and characters get written out. But when you start telling your own story, when you become the author instead of the protagonist in someone else's book, that's when you become irreplaceable. Because the story is yours, the success is yours, the failure is yours too, but at least you own it. Donovan taught me that. Though not in the way he intended, he taught me that. Loyalty without respect is just exploitation. That gratitude without action is just words. That being needed doesn't mean being valued. He also taught me my worth, not the worth he assigned me. The worth I actually had. Turns out I was irreplaceable after all, just not to him. Foster Strategic Solutions is valued at $80 million now. We have 150 employees. We work with Fortune 100 companies across 3 continents. And every morning when I walk into my office, past the logo with my name on it, past the team I built from scratch, past everything I created without compromise or apology, I remember that 60-second conversation in Donovan's office. The moment he told me I wasn't irreplaceable, the moment I became free. Some people need to lose everything to learn what they had. Donovan learned that lesson. I learned a different one. I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's simply becoming everything they said you couldn't be without them. I still think about him sometimes, when I'm signing major contracts or expanding into new markets. I wonder if he thinks about that day too, if he replays the conversation, if he wishes he'd done things differently, but mostly, I don't think about him at all because I'm too busy building something that actually matters, something that's mine, and nobody can ever tell me I'm replaceable in my own story. Because this time, I wrote it myself. Cheating Story exposed the channel dedicated to intense stories of betrayal, justice, and the truth we all deserve to hear. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply refusing to play by someone else's rules.